welcome to the next in our instalment of our meditation series. So we are going to go for a very gentle moving meditation today. So you can do it seated on a mat, seated on a chair, maybe on bed. Just make sure that if you are going to sit on the floor, give yourself something just to lift the hips up a little bit, particularly while we do the breathing at the start. So you could have a cushion, you could use the roll up blanket that we quite often have for our meditation, or if you've got a block, use a block. Suggest probably using a slightly softer one than the cork one. Makes it just a little bit more comfortable on your bottom. Okay, so we are going to prop the hips up. Come then into a comfortable position to sit in. So if you're not happy with the cross-leg position, then have the legs out in front. You could come into a little bit of a kneeling position. Works quite well if you've have got the block underneath you, or even that Bakasana cobbler's pose. I will get there. Okay, all right. So when you've got yourself in your comfortable position, you know you're going to be warm, you're ready to go, ready to focus. We're going to start with some breathing. So we're going to spend a little bit of time just focusing on the breath, and then we will bring the movement in with the breath. And you do not need to have to be able to do amazing stretching or anything like that for the movement. It is very simple, very gentle. It's just tuning the body and the breath together. Okay, so we are bringing our hands then either palms up on the thighs, or we're going to bring them so that they rest on the lap together in the middle for the moment. Sit nice and tall. So as we come into this sort of seated position and you just start to tune into the body and the mind and the breath, if you notice that there's a couple of little bits of tension, a little bits of niggles in the body that you feel, a little bit of wriggle, a little bit of movement would help. By all means, take that little bit of movement here so that you're able to focus on just sort of like keeping that nice grounded seated position, and we're not sort of like thinking too much about the neck, the shoulder, the hip, whatever. If you are on a chair or bed or whatever it is that you've chosen, if you're not sitting on the floor, then we just want to make sure we've got the knees in line with the hips and the feet are planted on the mat, on the floor underneath. So when you're ready, we're going to start to follow the breath. So breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then that breath becomes that little bit deeper as it starts to expand through the chest and expand through the belly. So remember, as we work on the breath, we start to then use the focus on the breath to quieten the mind. So we're putting away any thoughts we don't need right now. We've just got that box, the bag, the case, whatever it is we like to use. All the unnecessary thoughts go in. And then those thoughts can go outside the room, or perhaps if you're able to do this meditation outside today, maybe there's a garage, a shed, or somewhere that that bag can go in for a little while. And those thoughts are there then to come back to whenever you need to. If they do decide to come back, jump out of a container and sneak back into your mind, you just firmly put them back out of the way. To help us focus on the breathing then as we come to the movement, we're just going to take some counting as we breathe. So it's a little exercise, breathing exercise, pranayama exercise. It's called even breath. And we're going to breathe in for 4 counts and out for 4 counts. So breathe in for 4. Out for 4. So you just count in your own head, in your own time. That way your breathing can be as long or as short as you need it to be today. And you're not having to worry about sort of keeping up with a rhythm that I create. So inhale for 4, exhale for 4. Okay, so we're going to take 2 more full rounds of breath, counting for that 4 in and out. And then when you've finished your counting, just we're going to let that count, that number go. See if you can just keep that focus on the long, slow, deep breath. So as we start now to bring in a little bit of movement, just be really mindful of keeping the awareness of the breath. So I'm just going to invite a moment, if you are in a cross-leg position, or if you're seated and you feel like you just need to, wherever you are seated, give yourselves a little stretch, a little wiggle. But just think you're doing it with awareness of the breath. Okay. When you're ready, come back into your comfortable seated position, wherever that is. And we're going to either come back to the hands just resting on the thighs or in the lap. And as you exhale, take the head towards the chest. So all this movement's going to be slow in time with the breathing. We're going to inhale, roll the head to one shoulder. Exhale, roll the head to the center. Inhale, roll the head to the other shoulder. Exhale, roll the head to the center. So just keep that movement going. Inhale, roll one way. Exhale, roll back to the middle. So it really doesn't matter how the body moves, what it looks like. We're doing all of this with our eyes shut. It's all about keeping the breath and the movement completely connected. And by repeating the movement, very simple movement, it becomes, there's a rhythm. Anytime you feel you need to stop, you can just stop. And you come back to the breath, just sitting and breathing. So we are taking one more roll to either side. So when you're finished, very slowly, gently start to just stack the head back up. So it sits over the rest of the spine. So remember, anytime you need to move, wriggle, don't worry about having to keep this fixed. You know, it's not a fixed position, but every time you just pause and wriggle and move, remember it's all done mindfully with the breath, that you don't lose the breath. Just to kind of shake a leg out or shift in your position on your chair or the floor. Okay, now we're going to bring in just a very gentle little bit of movement with the hands. So as we inhale, we keep the palms face up. So the hands are on the thighs if they're not there already. Inhale, keep the palms up. Exhale, turn the palms down. Inhale, turn the palms up. exhale, turn the palms down. So I'm going to take one more movement, one more breath with the hands. And then we're just returning to the hands to that resting place on your thighs or on your lap. So our last little bit of movement is just going to be a very easy little bit of movement with the spine, the seated cat-cow. So hands are going to come back towards the knees, maybe a little bit further up the thighs if that feels more comfortable. And as you exhale, and only start to move when you're ready with your own exhale, you drop the chin to the chest, Make a little C shape with the spine, tucking the tailbone under. As you inhale, we're lifting the chest, turning the tailbone the other way. So you don't have to let the head drop back unless that feels okay. Let the movement calm through the chest and the lower back. So this isn't about finding a big stretch or making big movements with the joints. It's about noticing the breath and timing the breath with the movement in the body. So again, just finish with one more complete round of breath, and we're all going to be breathing, moving at a slightly different time. So we're finishing with a round of an exhale and a lift on the inhale. And then come back into the center, just feeling that grounding down and lift up through the spine. So again, before we just finish with the last few rounds of breath, very mindfully, keeping awareness of the breath, allow yourself just a moment to give a little wriggle to anywhere that needs it. So even though we aren't formally moving in a certain pattern, we aren't just kind of then letting go of the breath, moving the body. The wriggle, the adjustment becomes part of the breath, part of the moving meditation. And then we're just coming back into that comfortable seated position if we're not there yet. Bring your hands either back onto the thigh or into your lap. And we're going to come back to our even breath. So we're inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4. Let's take one more round. Inhaling, counting to 4, exhaling, counting to 4. And then we're going to gently let the counting go. As you then start to release the awareness of the breath. Just roll the shoulders round a couple of times. Perhaps if you're sitting on the floor, maybe just taking the legs out, giving them a little shake. If you're sitting on a chair, maybe just giving the knees a little slide, or perhaps wanting to hug a knee into the chest, just finding whatever movement you need to feel like you're releasing out of that seated position. And then when you're ready, we're just going to reach both arms up as you inhale. Bring the hands down then to your center, to your heart, as you bow your head to your fingers. Just sealing your meditation practice in with Namaste. Good. Well done, fab. So, a little bit different again today. And remember, you can take that idea of sort of mindful movement and doing anything mindfully with the breath. It doesn't have to be seated on a mat. You could take that anywhere, and then we will come back to something like this on another day, and where we explore taking it a little bit further. All right, okay, so remember, if you've got any comments or questions about today's practice, make sure you leave me a message somewhere and I'll do my best to answer. Okay, take care now. Bye.